So good morning, everyone, and welcome today to our presentation of 7 ways to grow your business. It is designed actually for professional services businesses specifically, but you'll also see there are parts that are relevant to every business. Fundamentally, the chassis of the business is the same, and it's the way it looks on the outside that's quite often different. So my name is Tim McCarthy, and I'm one of the directors of Sage Business Group, and I'll be your moderator and co-presenter today. I think in this world we're living in now, most of us know all about Zoom and how this works, but just in case it's the first time the radio, just have a look here at a few Zoom features. We've got the audio settings, so if you need to test your speakers at any stage during the session, feel free to do that. If you want to ask questions at all, please feel free to ask by the Q&A button there, and we'll answer those at the end. And hopefully no one desires it, but if you do want to leave the meeting, all you've got to do is click the button. Presenter today, as I mentioned, is myself, and I'm joined today by our lead presenter, which is Michael Osborne. Some of you on the line definitely well and truly know Michael very well. Michael, but I will say a little bit about Michael. He's our fellow director here at Sage Business Group. More important than that, he holds the key role as CEO of our business. Now, Michael's overseen the development of Sage Business Group from being an accounting and tax practice to the multi-financial disciplinary business that you see today. So we have different elements of the business, and that doesn't come by accident. It takes great innovation, it takes courage, it takes preparedness to make mistakes and explore and find the opportunities in business. And with today's focus being centered on professional services, what a great opportunity to get insight into the mind of a leader who's grown a professional services business. So with that, Michael, I'll hand over to you, and she's all yours to take away.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I really resonate with when you say mistakes. There's been a few along the way, but that's fine. We learn from those, or we should anyway. So thank you. And thanks everyone else for taking the time to be here today. Really looking forward to just doing what we can to helping businesses in these times. I know we've got people from Melbourne on the line, but also up into Queensland and around. So everyone's probably been impacted a little bit differently, but that's fine. We've always been all been impacted in some way. Just to kick things off, some wise words from Thomas Jefferson. If you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. He penned those words about, I don't know, 230 years ago, but they're as true as ever today. But what I want to do is just challenge you a little bit, and I want you to look at that saying and change the word you to I. For those people who can't actually see it, I'll do it for you as well. If I want something I've never had, I must be willing to do something I've never done. Really powerful to take that on yourself. When you're talking, we're big believers, Tim and I, that if you're talking you're talking the third person. You're really not taking ownership. So today's going to be a high level overview of an adaptation of our 90-minute to 2-hour in-person presentation that we do. And I think there's a couple of people who are online that have been to our larger session. So this session, your business the best. This session is just designed to give you some insights and to get you thinking. So having said that, let's get into it. Before we do that, usual disclaimer that the information that we talk about today, it's general in nature, and you need to get specific advice to you. So encourage you to do that. One of the biggest things too is that we've seen over the years, and I've been guilty of it, is something that we call FTI, failure to implement. Now, if I don't write down my business goals, if I don't write down my actions, there's a very good chance I'll forget them. So that's what we need to do. Write things down. Power of the pen, so you don't forget it. I know people can type it up these days and whatever, but if showing my age there, use a pen, use a keypad, whatever you like, but just document it. Get it out of your head and on into somewhere that you trust. Today, we're just going to very quickly go through a few things about, it's up to you, about choosing to change. No one's forcing you. It's going to be you who decides whether to change or not. Getting from A to B, your roadmap, really important to work out where you're going, but first of all, where you're starting from. Your dashboard, What are the key things that you must be looking at to make sure that you're on track, off track? We're going to obviously jump into the 7 ways to grow your business. Tim's going to run us through a worked example, which would be great to sort of tie it all in together. Some next steps to say, you know what are you going to do after you've listened to this session? And then also we've got, time permitting, a bit of time for a couple of questions. So let's get into it. Choosing to change. Look, it's fair to say that the pandemic has impacted some businesses and the way we operate more. Some have been impacted more than others, but we've all been through a fair bit lately, and we're going to probably have to make some changes in our business, and it just won't happen on its own. You have to make the choice to change. You're in control of how to respond to these crises. So normally there's 5 steps in in choosing to change, and they are, excuse me, you have to be aware that there is a need to change. For most of us, the business has been unable to continue as it normally has, and changes have to be made. So being aware is important. The next step is to accept that you or I need to change. For some of us, that might not be easy because we've been doing things the same way for quite a while. For others who are just starting out, okay, maybe you're used to changing. That's great. But you've got to accept that you need to change. Not going to be easy, but the alternative of not changing, that's not easy either. So now that you've accepted need to change, you need to take action. Like I said before, FTI, you don't want to fail to implement. What steps do you need to enable a change? And most people get stuck here. We tend to respond to the crisis and fix a few things, but we sometimes fail to take the action that's required to make sustainable change. After that, great. The best way to ensure change happens is to get some accountability. Get someone who's independent, who knows you, just to hold you to account to make sure it does happen. And finally, if you've got a team around you, take the time to involve them and pat yourself on the back, pat them on the back. If you haven't got a team, as I said, pat yourself on the back, but really take the time to acknowledge that you have made some change. So before we do that, we've got to have a plan where we want our business to go. I think everyone understands that. But first, it's really important, where is your business right now? What's your point A? And where do you want to get to is point B. And it could be that COVID has meant that your point B is further away than what it was 18 months ago. Maybe. Having said that, we work with some business who it's actually probably closer. It's just the type of business that you're in. So, there's point A, point B. I know, Tim, we talk about the now, where, how. Do you want to just spend a couple of seconds on explaining that to the listeners?
Yeah, for sure. So now where, how is something we're using a lot in our practice for our own business. We're also using it in financial planning. We're using it with our business clients who we work with. And it's really the concept of identifying the position you are in now. So you can identify the now is, I have this amount of money in my bank, I have this type of business, this is what it looks like. Where is, where do I want it to look like? Where am I going? What's the destination? And there's 2 key points there. And really, the how is just the middle bit. The how's in between. That's where we work with the clients a lot on the how. How do I get from now to where I want to be? It's a simple concept, but it's that point of, gee, I don't know how to do this. Well, find someone to help you do the how, but it's no good doing the how unless you've identified some form of where.
Correct. Absolutely. And for those who have worked with us before, we tend to keep it pretty simple like that. Where are you now? Where do you want to get to? And how are we going to do it? It doesn't have to be much more than that. So, and we're going to cover a visual of this when Tim goes through and we both look at the growth equation. So, I suppose where you are now is, could be as a result of COVID and maybe you need to look at your plan. And some of you may have a business plan already. But you know what? If COVID has impacted your business just to a slight degree, maybe it's just an update to your business plan. I'm hoping that everyone has got a form of business plan, because if you don't and you're just running blindly, that's not going to end well, especially when we found that the businesses that have got through this period have had a plan which they could actually steer the course with. But for those of us who have been impacted significantly, it might be you have to go past a tweak of the business plan. It may be a business plan or a business recovery plan, and we've had to do a couple of those as well. So, yeah, you've got to revise your personal budget and reduce the pressure on your business's cash flow. And what other finances do you need? All these have to go into your plan. You should be establishing your critical key performance indicators. I'll refer them as KPIs from now on. It's easier, but you've got to be monitoring. As a business owner, you must be looking at those KPIs on a regular basis. And we'll go through a couple of those soon. You need to identify all the risks. Everyone has 10 hats or 10 departments in their business, whether it doesn't matter if you're one person operation or you've got a team of 50. We believe there are 10 different departments and hats. So what are the challenges and in each of those departments or hats, and what are some of the risk mitigation strategies that you need to implement, and what 90-day goals have you got for each of those areas? Really important. Right, one thing we do say when we're talking about a plan, we're not talking a 43-page document that the banks love to see that really just gets given to the bank and stuck in the top drawer. We're talking about a one-page business plan, very succinct. It's got who you are as a business, what your key goals are, what your actions are for the next 12 months, who's going to hold you to account, what happens if you don't make it. Really, really concise, one page. So, part of the budget, and I think we'll go on to the next part, but, and I'll get Tim, you're the numbers man, Tim, to just run through an example of what should be going in your plan or your budget.
Yep, absolutely. And there's nothing that says it has to be one plan either. What we find sometimes these days is there might be multiple plans required for different scenarios. So scenario planning. But let's just look at one example here. And you'll see on the screen that we've got an old and a new. Let's work out the budget, but let's work from the bottom up, because the first things we always say is that it's important that your business is there to serve you. So a clarity plan is important. What sort of money do you need to live the lifestyle that you want to live for yourself, your family, your legacy, whatever it is important to you? Let's work from the bottom up, because the business is there to serve you. So let's say, for example, you had a business and the profit has been $150,000. We're actually going to do something different to what we normally do today. We're going to go in reverse. We're going to say, let's say that COVID has impacted your business. Let's say you're having some challenges around your business. And in that time, you've also realized that personally, you've adjusted a few things so you can actually survive on some less money just for the moment. So let's say you're looking at a profit of the business, currently $150,000, but going forward to release some pressure, to get things sorted, you're going to reduce that profit target to $130,000. Let's work our way up. The overheads, for example, worth $350,000 in this business. Through scrimping, saving, turning it upside down, you've been able to look through the business and reduce those overheads to $325,000. So now we know we've got a gross profit target of $455,000. Now we're talking today about professional services, and often in this slide, people will move to the next line saying about gross profit. We know the reality of professional services is not about gross profit, it's about cost of people. Because people, and however that looks, whether that be direct employees, subcontractors, offshore, onshore, whatever that looks like, the cost of people is generally the biggest input to a business that actually has professional services. And if you want to keep, let's assume in this example, through all sustainability, we're trying to keep that cost of people at 39%. Let's try to make it no worse than what it currently is through the various challenges we face. Well, then we'll find the sales target has dropped from 1.282 million to 1.166. So in actual fact, the target's gone down, but it helps us achieve our targets. So the idea, now that's just a very high level, and we would dive into that a lot deeper. But the point being, work from the bottom up rather than from the top down. Too often we work from the top down and hope for the best at the end. Why aren't we actually planning our outcomes as opposed to just living with whatever turns up? And part of this really is knowing where you're going and what you want to achieve. So what we want to do for clients, we want to set up a dashboard. A dashboard on your car, it shows you how fast you're going. It shows you how your fuel how much fuel you got left. It shows you how your temperature and your gauges. It gives you an indication about whether or not you'll make it to your destination. You press that button and we can find it. You find you've only got 66 k's to empty. You think, well, I better do something. But it's the same for business. The things in the business dashboard are the KPIs or key performance indicators. Essentially, they're the measures which tell you if you're on track to achieving your plan. And the dashboard, we should look 5, 6, 7 maximum measures is all you need for business improvement because you want to focus. So focusing on a small number of KPIs allows you to capture, monitor, report, and improve them on a regular basis. But that's the important piece is capturing, monitoring, reporting, and improving them because that makes a difference. So let's look at an example of professional services businesses. What would you look at? Average hourly rate. What return are we getting for the hours we're putting in? Lockup days. Now, we're talking here about a bit about profit and the like, but the reality is that we need cash flow, and cash flow is the sustainability for business. So how do we measure WIP, debtors? Keep an eye on that. The average fee per client, we'll talk about this through the growth equation, but the average fee per client can be one of the most critical measures for professional business services going around. The cost of people as a percentage of sales. How could you not measure your major input, which is the people input? The number of services per client. Now, I sat on the board of a local bank for quite a while, and our number one measure we used to have was products per customer because the products per customer measure meant that we were more likely to retain that customer for a longer period of time. We may have working capital position. How much money do we actually have to invest into the business? And will be fees per team member because all our team are on board. What fees are we earning? That you monitor those to suit what you need. And importantly, it should always be what suits you and your business. That's just an example of one business. But professional services, these are the types of things you can measure. There are also types of things you can manage because if you can measure it, you actually can improve it, you can adjust it. And that's what we want to do. So that's how the numbers really should stack up. So I'll swing back over to you now, Michael, and show us how next stages of how we go about that.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. And look, you can see there's quite a bit of an analogy to driving and cars because there is, Tim made mention that your vehicle, your business is a vehicle, a chassis. It's there to serve you and get you from your now to where you want to go. So, sometimes we can't do it ourselves. We need to engage co-drivers. So do you have anyone that can hold you to account for what you've committed to do? What are the consequences if you don't achieve your goals? Some may already have a bit of a coach or a mentor. Are they a soft coach or a hard coach? Remember, the 5 A's of change. One of those was accountability. So there must be someone there to hold you to account who's independent. We do have a little bit of a joke, especially in our live sessions, that having your spouse hold you to account is only going to end in tears most of the time. So probably try to get someone independent. I'm saying not all the time. So in summary, what do you need to do to get going and to make sure you're on track? The actions you must take now, we believe, top 4, set an annual plan. That's your, that's your business plan, your one pager. Maybe tweak it. If you've really been impacted, then maybe you need to do a business recovery plan. Number 2 is your annual budget. And Tim did a very high level annual budget there. You should be drilling down over time and comparing that budget with actual. We've done it for, I can't remember how many years now. And it really does help in our planning and just analysing where we're going well and where we can improve. Set and measure those 4, 5, 6, 7 important KPIs. And one of the things that it's for another day, we can discuss it, but KPIs, key performance indicators, tend to be results. So, you can actually look at it and say, well, they're the results, but you should be looking further to what we call critical drivers. What are the things that drive those results? But again, that's another topic. But at least from someone, if you're looking from a helicopter down, those KPIs are at least giving you an indication of how you're going. And of course, have someone independent hold you to account to your plan. important there. So they're the 4 things that if you take nothing else out of today, please go and do those sort of things. But before we get started onto the 7 ways to grow your business, I just want to quickly run you through a marketing flywheel. Now, I'm probably not going to be teaching you anything new to what you already know, but sometimes it's really good to see this visually, because we all know as educators, there are 3 ways that people can take in information. There's audio, listening to people. There's visual, where they can see it. And then there's kinesthetic, where you actually get your hands dirty and you get in and you do it yourself. They're the 3 ways that people learn. So let's look at it visually, this marketing flywheel. Now, first, this concept shows us how to attract, I suppose, and engage and delight our customers. And hopefully you can see that you shouldn't just be focusing on gaining new customers, but also focusing on delighting our current customers. Initially, we start off, we've got strangers, people who haven't heard about our business. And now we can do some marketing. We introduce, these strangers to our business, and hopefully they'll become prospects. Now, these prospects are then given the opportunity to buy from us. And when those prospects do make a purchase, well, they become customers. And if we treat them right and look after them, then hopefully these customers become our promoters. And that's really important. The more promoters we have, the more people we have to speak to strangers about a business. So the cycle continues. Now, in order to attract those prospects, we need to obviously provide some value before we go and extract value from them. So think about what they'll get from doing business with you, and be a solution provider. Don't be a product seller or anything like that. Be a solution provider. Now, to convert these prospects into customers, you've got to engage with them and making it as easy as possible. I see so many times where we do all the hard work, but we just put up barriers for them to buy from us. So our marketing is what attracts and engages our prospects and turns them into customers. Our sales processes should be there to ensure that those customers continue to be engaged and are followed up with really good service. Now, delighted customers share their feedback with strangers, and as I said before, they create more prospects, customers, and even more promoters. There is a cycle. And we all know that, we don't all know. It's a bit like push biking. When you're standing up in the seat and in the saddle pushing really hard, sometimes this flywheel can be really quite hard to push. But as you gain momentum, it starts to look after itself. Now, we want to get that, the flywheel spinning as fast as we can, converting strangers to prospects to customers, how it goes. But what I will say is that following this process is essential to growing your business. I'm going to say it again. Following this process is essential to growing your business. We're going to go through the 7 ways to grow, but it must be done in accordance with this marketing flywheel. So let's get into the 7 ways to grow your business. Number 1, increasing customer retention rate. Now, it's so much cheaper to make a sale to an existing customer, and you've probably heard it from me before if you've heard us speak. It's around 6 times easier and cheaper to make a sale to an existing customer than it is to create a new customer. So by delighting our customers, we want them to return. Therefore, that increases our customer retention rate. So I'd love to ask a question. Think about it now. What do you do to delight your customers? And just to see if you're awake, maybe if you want to even just put it on the chat box. We're not going to go wait for you, but just if you want to share, how do you delight your customers? Now, we've got a very, very simple principle called the FGG principle. And really, if you wanted to write this down, F is find out what they want. G is just go and get it. And the other G is give it to them. It doesn't get any simpler than that. So that's the first way to grow your business, increasing the customer retention rate. Second way, grow a business, is obviously to generate more leads. Now, we just said before, the best way to generate more leads is to delight your customers, so they become promoters. That is the best way. You can't purely rely on existing customers to do your marketing for you. You must be attracting strangers using your different strategies, articulating your value. And sometimes we find that the hardest thing to do, articulating the value. it might be something simple as a free download from your website. Some really useful information about what you do. A free trial or consultation. Show them the problems that you will solve. As I said, you're a solution provider, a problem solver. That's the second way. Third way to grow your business is to increase your conversion rate. I'm going to ask the question, how many people here actually measure how successful you are at converting those leads and quotes and proposals that you send out? I mean, Tim touched on it before. There's a very old saying, if you can measure it, you can manage it. And quite like you said, we flip that around and say, well, no, hang on. If you can measure it, you can improve on it. So measure how well you're going with converting those leads, because you're doing so much work, you could be just falling over right at that very end in converting the leads. But we do find it before. Some people are very good technically at what they do, but the conversion into creating that value or getting the customer to see that value is where they sometimes fall over. If you've got a sales team, are you using the right people in your sales team? Is someone performing? Is someone better at converting those leads than others? Get them to be the teacher if they can. Teach others. One thing we also found is that a key to converting sales a lot better is to make sure you're dealing with the decision maker. A lot of businesses have what we call gatekeepers that just won't let you pass and to the decision maker. And that's good because it gets them a little bit more time. But make sure you're dealing with the decision maker. And I know that there's a financial planner online and real estate agent. You know what? You've actually probably got to have both decision makers in the room. Make sure you're dealing with both of them. Now that's 3. Number 4, increase transaction frequency. As I said before, much harder to sell to a new customer than it is to sell to an existing customer. So encourage your customers to buy from you more often. Send them reminders. You might have VIP cards or sessions or closed shop evenings. You might have special deals to your existing customers. Get them to buy more frequently from you. 5th way is to increase the transaction value. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean increasing your prices. Think about what it does mean is think about how can you add more value to your customers? Can you provide them with a range of options? Have you articulated everything that you do in your business? Don't assume that they know. Tell them. I mean, financial planners, for example, can say, well, you know what? Yes, I can look after your superannuation, but do they know you specialize in risk insurance? Your real estate agents, can you offer market appraisals on investment properties and tips on getting the best value out of investment properties? These are additional services to existing customers. So increasing transaction value is the 5th way. Now, I did want to actually touch on that increasing transaction value. Please don't discount your services. We've got a great table on the massive impact that discounting has on your pricing, unless it's done as bundling up, and we can touch on that when we've got another session called Know Your Numbers. So the 6th way to grow your business, all right, went backwards on you there, Tim, is to reduce your variable costs. Now, these are the costs that they increase as sales increase. Now, professional services businesses don't have them as much as, say, manufacturing, but as Tim touched on before, cost of team members, whether it be employed or subcontractors, as you get more sales, you need more people. So just making sure that you're getting the best value out of those cost of sales, cost of team, accurately recording what time people spend on jobs, how much time's tied up in WIP, really important. And the 7th way is just reduce your overheads. How many people have gone through their line-by-line profit and loss on Xero or whatever accounting software you use and look at all the overheads and see if there's something you can trim down? What we found, and we'll even look at it a little bit later on with the growth equation, that it's not one single thing that will save a lot of money. It's normally going through your electricity and your gas and your rent and a few other things, and looking at what is it that you can save. I know for a lot of people, COVID has meant that we can save a lot of money on paper because everything has to be electronic because we can't go into offices. So sometimes we can reduce our overheads through adversity. So look at ways in which you can reduce your overheads. So they're the 7 ways. Now, it's great. Again, we've spoken about them. So what we tend to do when we work with our clients is throw them into something what we call as a growth equation, a bit of a calculator. And I think I might actually throw over to Tim again for you to just run through an example of these 7 ways being thrown into our growth equation. Tim?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. And what you see there is, what Michael's running you through is, none of that is rocket science. It's about action. So what we want to show you here at the growth equation is how small changes can have a massive impact on profit, and for businesses that have value, on the value of the business. Because some people may be in the line thinking, I'm actually not more about profit, I want to grow the value of my business for a sale day. Well, inevitably, growing your profit helps you actually grow the value of your business. And just for the webinar purposes, if we were live here, we could do spreadsheets and the like and show you how it all works. And absolutely 100%, if you're doing this one-on-one, we would sit there with you and go through your numbers. But for the purposes of the webinar, what we want to do is just show you how the growth equation works, how the 7 factors come together, and what impact they can have on your business. So let's use this example of a business which has 765 existing customers, and they retain 85% of them. So therefore, they've got 650 retained customers each year. They have leads and inquiries of 145 per year. They convert half of those, 50%, which gives them 73 customers, and that gives them to 723 total customers. Now, if each of those customers on average is making 1.1 transactions per year, and the average transaction value is $1,560, the results here is annual sales of 1.24 million. Now, if we say cost of goods sold, so let's look here in terms of people. It doesn't matter what type of business we're talking about, but if the direct cost is 70%, and then overhead expenses are $265,000, this business has a profit of $107,000. And if we do a 3 times multiple, let's say that there's a valuation multiple that goes for that business, rough guide, $320,000 is the value of the business. So it's not a bust, it's okay. And that's the interesting thing. Most businesses are not the bust. It's about the improvement and the opportunity to be better. Michael touched on before, the type of business that I want to have. So maybe making those choices. So let's look at that, what it could turn into though. Same growth equation, but a couple of adjustments. Let's say the business implements a customer loyalty program. It does something. It has some points. Whatever it creates, it does webinars, it does education events, and it increases their retention rate from 85% to 90%. So now they retain an extra 39 customers, and they've got 689 retained customers. But not everything's experience skills in this world. And let's say that the number of leads doesn't improve. The conversion rate actually decreases a touch, whether that be some impact of the market, outside your forces, some form of behavior within the business, for whatever reason. Let's say that the clients actually, in this example, decrease. So the acquired clients, 65, but the total customers, because of the focus on retention, increases to 754. Let's make a couple of other small changes. Instead of 1.1 transactions per year, let's somehow find a way to do 1.3 average transactions per year. Instead of making the average transaction value $1,560, let's make it $1,600. So small incremental change. And that may even be pricing strategies. It may be bundling. There's a whole heap of things you can do around that. But now sales are 1.56 million. So significant increase. Extension of that, let's talk to our people. Let's work with our people and get them more efficient, find better ways, use tech, invest. So therefore, let's say the cost of that direct cost of sales reduces from 70% down to 65%. But the reality is nothing comes from nothing. We might have had to invest some money with some tech. We might have had to invest some money with some support and coaching. We may have had to invest some money with some marketing for that to happen. So expenses have gone up. So you can see in this example here, not everything has gone up or improved, I should say. Some things have actually been a bit more expensive. There's a few more costs paid, and the conversion rate has actually gone down. But what happens? Well, net profit of this business now moves to $248,000, just shy of $250,000. The valuation of the business increases significantly with the 3 times multiple. And all of a sudden, you're looking at double the profits plus some. The value of the business has increased significantly. Now, nothing there was huge. Nothing there has changed massively. But it's failure to implement. It's the ability to actually go through and make change and plan for change. What can I do to improve my business? How can I be that inch better? We look at coming off the Olympics recently. The difference between gold and silver can often be 0.01 of a second. And the difference that leads to is huge. So what's that one thing I can do to gain that 0.01 of a second as we move forward? And the growth equation does just that.
Yeah, and a couple of things to think about in that growth equation, Tim, is actually, I don't know if you can flick back, but it's don't get caught up on the numbers as such. It's all about small things having a large impact. And I know as professional services businesses, for those on the line, there are some things there you're not going to probably improve on. Transactions per year. It may not. Well, it could if they know about your services. And it could mean that there are things in there that might not apply to you. But that means that instead of 7 ways to grow your business, you can just concentrate on 6. It might be just generating more referrals. You just put all your efforts to that. So don't get caught up on so much on the numbers. It's about the concept. And the big thing is the first growth equation we saw, that was the business's point A, or their now. The second one is their where. What they have to do now is implement change to work out the how. So thanks, Tim. Okay, great. Hopefully that resonates with you. So now, as I said, it's crunch time for you. You've got to do some work now. You have 4 choices. You can do nothing. Say, nice webinar, boys. No worries. But yeah, probably need to do something differently. But seems a bit too hard to me. We'll just keep going the way we are. That's fine. You can retreat. So you might try a couple of things. That's what I mean by retreat. But you have a couple of bad days and a few things. How many fires do you have to put out each day in your business? You get dragged back into it and nothing really happens much after that. You might take normal amounts of action and you do a few easy things. We call it the low-bearing fruit. You get some quick cash flow improvements here and there, but you fundamentally don't change your business. Those quick wins can sometimes just evaporate along with the quick cash. And fourth option, just take massive amounts of action. What we mean by that is you fundamentally change your business, because as Tim said at the very outset, your business is there to serve you, not the other way around. You're not there to serve the business. So there is another saying also that if you do what you've always done, you'll get where you've always got. Maybe. I'm not quite sure about that anymore. I think that, if you just keep doing what you're doing with the rate of change in business, I think if you do what you've always done, you'll end up with less. My opinion, but also based on what I've seen and Tim and I have seen with working with businesses. And just on those 4 options there, as you can see on screen, old Albert Einstein said a few years ago, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. So that's basically it, I suppose. And again, just to reinforce it, the information that we're going through is generic in nature. Your business, we get into trouble a little bit. Your business is not unique. The chassis on which is built is what you do yourself. You make it unique, but your business in itself is a vehicle there to serve you. So how can we help you? Obviously, we can do business plans. That's normally, a half-day session with a little bit of homework up front that culminates in a half-day session. We're not going to put any price up there because everything is different, and depending on, some people have got a business plan and they're just wanting to tweak. Others fundamentally have to have what I said before, a business recovery plan, which is a bit more involved. We can look at quarterly performance sessions, and that includes working out your growth equation, where you are now and where you want to be, and introducing some accountability around the now. Around the how. What is it that you need to do to get to where you want to be? We'll introduce the accountability. That's there at 320 plus GST per month. The growth equation example snapshots, you might not have been able to see them. We can shoot them through to you for free. And anyone who's taken the time out of their day to work on their business, we feel is more than entitled to have half an hour or so of our time free. So if you'd like that, please just contact us. I think there's emails around there as well. So I think that's respecting our time. That's how we can help you, and love to work with you. And finally, we've got one more quote, Tim, I think. Questions. Look, we'll do this, that success, neither magical nor mysterious. It is about just consistently applying basic fundamentals. It's creating habits. So please, I just implore you, make some form of plan out of today. Don't let this time that you've put aside go to waste. Just commit to at least maybe 3 actions that you'll take out of today's session. Write them down. Here's the key. Write them down. Give them an owner. It doesn't have to be you. If you've got a team around you, fantastic. Give them an owner and a completion date. And then, as you said before, if you need our support, we can certainly help you out. Now, we did flick over questions, but if someone wanted to flick through a question, and I do want to acknowledge that David, who did actually throw up there that how they delight their customers is through good communication, excellent tech support, and follow through. Awesome. Well done, David. And that's half the battle. Sometimes is it how many times I am going to go there because we have a financial planner online. I think some of the financial planners, the older AMPs got hauled over the coals for fee for no service. It's getting the sale, that's great, but you've got to provide the service. So that the after sales tech support you provide, David, is fantastic. So if anyone had any questions, feel free to type away. If you've had enough for the morning, that's understandable too. But
just throw one question at you, Michael, if that's okay. We've got a question that someone actually sent us through a question beforehand. I thought it's a really insightful question and works in now, which is, how much time should I allocate to all of this to improve my business? I'm really busy, but where do I get the time from? Well, it was a really good question. You obviously have experience here, so you might be able to share how you deal with those issues.
Yeah. Each person's different. But to be honest, I'll say that I had a little bit of difficulty with letting go certain things. But if you're the driver of the business, the owner of the business, and you're not having time to work on your business because you're doing it after hours, then you've got to effectively delegate. I'm not saying abdicate, delegate. There's a difference. And bring in some assistance. Bring in people who're specialists in certain areas to help you out or to free up time. As we said at the outset, we want these sessions to be able to create some freedoms. It's I'm thinking out aloud here that we've infamously clocked up down in Victoria here 200 days of being locked up. So creating freedoms quite important to us. Those freedoms are around time freedom, mind freedom, and financial freedom. So you've got to free up your time to be able to work on your business. There's no set number of hours. You know what? Half an hour a day is awesome as long as you do it consistently. And you might need to build that up, but it all comes back to where are you now and where do you want to get to? If that's a massive gap, you're going to have to invest more time. It's simple as that. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Dave has also extended on the analogies around the cars and put together on there about the analogy could work with meat and potatoes in terms of the chassis is part of the car, but then we can build the body and accessories, the extras in our chassis. Absolutely true. That's what we need, isn't it?
Without a doubt, you've got to build on, you've got to create that uniqueness. It's those add-ons that make the difference in cars, isn't it? So you've got to build on those add-ons. What makes your business unique? Why is someone going to buy from you instead of the person or competitor down the road? And it could be, could be visual things, it could be the service things, but it could also be that you provide solutions to their problems. FGG, find out what they want, go and get it, give it to them. Find out what their problems are. And you can only do that by asking.
Yep, absolutely. And Richard's just thrown in a comment here to us. This is the second time Richard's been through this session, and we know Richard is a great person to have around our business. And the big takeaway for him in the last session was about outsourcing, acknowledging, is a great point, acknowledging you cannot do everything, enlist help.
True, and that goes to your question, Tim, about how can I get more time? Well, outsourcing, and Richard did actually come to one of our last sessions when we're all together in the office, and it took that on board and enlisted the services of people outside his organisation to free up the time so he can work on the business on him.
His results, you'd say today, pretty well his results. They're spectacular, aren't they?
Don't want to blow his trumpet, but he's going okay. Yeah.
I think for those who aren't online, he's going more than okay. It's been great. It's been fantastic. So with that, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael, especially. Now, just to reiterate what I said at the start, Michael actually has lived and breathed this, and he just touched on then one point is that at the start it wasn't easy. It was not even close to easy, and the paradigm shift was phenomenal. It was required. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It's actually incremental change that can be really important, but incremental change is start somewhere. If you don't start, you can't finish. So I want to thank Michael and acknowledge the effort he's been for our business, but also this session today. He's hearing from someone who's actually genuinely done it, not just a theory, because you go to these sessions and you have theories. What I would ask you today is don't walk away with nothing. At least have something written down as an action you're going to take, because we often have in our sessions decisions by actions equals results. So all well and good to sit here and listen, but make a decision, take action, and get results. And whatever that action is, make it the best action for you. So thank you once again to Michael. Thank you to everyone on the line. Appreciate your input, and really thank you for being part of the session. We're running these sessions regularly now going forward, and we've designed them specifically to be able to talk to your industry. So for professional services, in about 4 weeks, I think it is, we're running another session, which obviously will send invitations out. But by all means, if you've got friends, family, people hold time to hop in on the other sessions. We're going to be running this program, this 7 ways to grow your business, for each of the next 3 Thursdays for three industry types: manufacturing, we're going to do for retail, and we're going to also do it for trade-based businesses. Tell people to jump on board, because if there's one thing we can do in these lockdown periods, it's help to educate ourselves. So thank you so much for being part of today. We really appreciate it, and good luck with the rest of your day, and enjoy it. Thank you.
There, Tim. There, everyone.